Welcome back to Privy. Privy is a podcast about bathrooms, recorded from my home bathroom. I'm your host, Hunter Hoover, and I love bathrooms. And welcome back. It's Spoopky season. October is here. It is nigh, as the kids say. I donned a disguise to hide. It's Spoopky season. I want to note, at the point of this episode's record, so I'm recording this episode a little bit ahead of time, just a little bit. It's first day of fall. We have arrived. Fall is here. Today is the first day of fall. The America's Best Restroom 2024 website touts that they will announce the best restroom this fall. Now, it is officially fall, and I have gone on the record with my frustration about this competition. And it's particularly baffling because for an online competition wherein all of the votes can be tallied by either A, a simple algorithm, or B, they're probably entered into like an Excel spreadsheet, and all you got to do is hit that enter key, and it's going to kick you out the results of this vote. Now, please don't let this be any sign of how this vote will go here in America. Please don't. But at the point of this episode's record, I checked but an hour ago, and they still have not announced the winner of America's Best Restroom. And I wonder if someone on their site has heard me ramble, because again, now they have updated to say there's a notable difference this year. It says that it will be announced this fall. And if they have announced it in between the weeks in between, about a week or so in between of me recording this and this episode coming out, well, good for you, America's Cintas Corporation, America's Best Restroom. Good for you. But you, Privy listeners, stay tuned for full coverage. I talked in last episode about the pumpkin spice's effects on my life, and something struck me. Something struck me about pumpkin spice. I think pumpkin spice entered our lives a little sooner this year than it normally does. I feel like I was seeing pumpkin spice almost mid-August. I feel like it was almost even beginning of August I began to see pumpkin spice, and I'm not complaining. Again, I'm like a basic white lady every time pumpkin spice is available. My wife has dipped her finger into the pumpkin spice game. She's made some actually pretty delicious pumpkin spice coffees with her recipes. And another note here is one of my daily routines is I hit the gym, and then between the gym and my job at the school, I go to my job at the church office where I shower. And not too long ago, my towel went missing, and it was kind of a mystery for a minute. Turns out the towel was given to a gentleman who needed a towel, which is totally fine. I got plenty of towels. But for a minute, I was like, it's a mystery. The towel is gone. But you want to know what's scarier than pumpkin spice diarrhea, or maybe even pumpkin spice entering our lives seemingly too soon, if that's possible, and missing shower towels? It's our revisit in our trip back into the world of toilet demons. It's time to ring in Spoopky season with another look at some creepy bathroom spirits. Last year we looked at a number of these spooky turd goblins. Most of these were Japanese in nature. Turns out the people of Japan, they got a lot of stuff living in their toilets. And we spent most of our time figuring out, like, these Japanese toilet demons. They spent most of their time trying to figure out how to drag people back into the toilet to their doom, or after emerging from the toilet to do so, killing them. But this year we have another batch of spooky toilet spirits, and this time we're leaving Japan. In many ways we're going back in time, and we're jumping over to the Mesopotamian region in the Middle East. Our first stop, as noted, is with the Mesopotamian toilet demon known as Sulak. Before I tell you more about Sulak, we really need to talk about the name here. Sulak means lurker of the bathroom, or demon of the privy. It's not me. Demon of the privy. In Mesopotamian cultures, a lurker demon is an evil spirit that sits in waiting to strike humans when they are in their most vulnerable. Some examples of this include when you are asleep, or when you are walking alone in the dark, or when you are bathing yourself. Or I feel like anytime you're naked, you fall under the category of being vulnerable. Well, one such position one could find themselves in is when you are, for lack of a better way of saying it, fully posted up on the john, flap and stack into the lake below. Lurker demons come out of nowhere on that one. They're just, man, they just dink. You're just absolutely blindsided. Backside blindside. You know what I'm saying? The demon likely derives from a term meaning dirty hands. This is often due to his dwelling in the, quote, house of rinse water or pee-pee water. What a wild idea. We named this spooky little guy after the fact that he lives where people's urine is. Good one, bud. That's spooky enough. But the Sulak is described as an evil lurker spirit who looks like a lion but walks on two legs. Very creepy. I don't want that coming in my toilet. Unlike the Japanese demons we looked at last year, who were pretty invested and seemed like they were just going to drag you to your death or make you dead in some way, the Sulak is really here to play the long game. Rather than committing murder, cursing someone in some way, the Sulak, rather, is said to inflict those it haunts and attacks with problematic medical diseases. What an absolute gem. You know, the Sulak, in many ways, you're a real piece of work. You're fake, but you're a piece of work. Now, was this likely one spiritual explanation and blaming of some spiritual entity or being on what would otherwise nowadays be a medically explainable phenomenon? Most likely, yes. But when you don't have a way to explain, especially like tum-tum trouble, and you got tum-tummelies going on, and you subscribe to a view of the world wherein the bad things that happen to us are the results of evil spirits, you can see where when you get a rumbly in your tumbly, you start looking for the Sulak. Where's he at? Remember, in that Thor movie where they spend like the entire movie trying to equate science with magic and make it out as if they are somehow the same, different understandings of a different, like two sides of a coin. This is kind of that in reverse, wherein they're making out as something that is woo-woo, that's something that's very medical in nature, number of terrible diseases, and they blame it on this Sulak. Many of the afflictions blamed on the Sulak. However, what's interesting, as I noted, there's the tum-tummelies, which we get how those are related to the bathroom. But many of the things that they blame the Sulak for are not bathroom in nature. They're not even bathroom related. Like, I could expect them to pin your classic cross-home plate diarrhea on the Sulak. Like, you're shazzing liquid, the Sulak's involved. You're grunting out, you're struggling to bust a grumpy, Sulak's on the hook. You got asparagus pea, I could see the Sulak being there. But often in the Mesopotamian region, the Sulak is often charged with inflicting a person with seizures, stroke, and in some cases even death. So I guess I lied. He will kill you. What a butthole. So maybe he does have more in common with those Japanese toilet demons than I thought. The idea of the Sulak extends into multiple cultures in the Mesopotamian region. The Babylonians had a Sulak. There are mention of them in Hittite texts and descriptions of their gods. In some cases, the Sulak takes on the appearance of a goat rather than that beastly lion. I don't know which is worse. I guess for some reason, I have this picture of like the cowardly lion from The Wizard of Oz, like jumping out of the crap hole so bad that it scares the person into having a seizure. Like that's the thing in which that lives in my brain when I start thinking about the Sulak. In some descriptions, it is said to also give epilepsy to your children. Or, and this is usually in the case where you had sexual relations too soon after visiting the bathroom, or in too close of proximity to the bathroom itself. To ward off the Sulak, a number of talismans have been employed and are often buried in and around the bathroom or affixed to the walls or outside of the bathroom. Amulets in the form of the lion centaur Lulu, nerd, or tablets inscribed with magical bathroom spells, fake, were buried in the doorway to the bathroom. In some cases, the home's foundation, and in the most severe cases, in the house's pipes, to ward off the Sulak. If you can stick a figurine or an amulet in your home's plumbing, you are going to have some non-demon related problems on your hands. Like, you don't need to blame that on the Sulak. It's called a clogged pipe, and you're going to need to call a plumber. Ooh, that one wasn't as crisp. Again, this seems a bit like superstition run amok. Super spoopky. You should keep your head on a swivel when you're taking a poop. Our next toilet spirit comes from Chinese folklore. Zigu, also known via translation as the Lady of the Latrine or the Third Daughter of the Latrine. Now, I want to note, these spirits often have some terrible backstory as to how they entered the role of interacting with bathrooms. And Zigu is one such toilet spirit. The story goes that Zigu is the spirit of a concubine who was assaulted and abused by the jealous wife of some prince or emperor or something. And this assault resulted in the concubine passing away while inside the bathroom or latrine. Now, the myth spread about this assault and this death in time and in history, and it is most likely tied back to the person of Consort Qi in the Han Dynasty, who was tortured and killed in the toilet by Empress Lu. But wherever this is based in history is not important. The myth spread in time, and in history, it is most likely after the concubine's death, the wife and others who visited the bathroom, which I assume they cleaned up after the Empress wife committed, how else do you say this, but she committed a murder. Now, in many ways, we are bleeding categories of spirit and the Chinese toilet deities we discussed in a previous episode. To these, there is a whole category of spirit wherein shrines are often set up in the bathrooms to appease these entities. Zigu in these shrines is often depicted as a doll, where people will say prayers to Zigu, telling her that either the husband or the wife have gone and she is welcome to come out. In some instances, it is said the doll has movements at this point, and this can sometimes be used for fortune-telling purposes. And I want something to be abundantly clear here. Listener, I want you to know this. If I ever go to your house, if I ever use your bathroom, if I use any bathroom, and I find a doll anywhere around the toilet, we are going to have a conversation when I come out of that bathroom. One, it's just very creepy and bad. Dolls are weird. Like, they're super creepy. And the last place a doll should ever be is the bathroom. Like, keep it out of the bathroom. You shouldn't be the argument, we're talking to... You don't need to be talking to anything in the bathroom. Just chill out. You might ask yourself, why? Well, there's some guesses as to why these people are even goofing around with Zigu while they're in the bathroom. Zigu is a pretty popular Chinese spirit. Many attribute this particularly to the reliability of Zigu. They recognize something we too recognize here on Privy, and that's that everyone poops. And so the spirit of the bathroom is a relatable thing. This, coupled with the idea that in Chinese thinking, the bathroom is very much related to death and life. Death because of, the defecating. But in new life, in that those turds can be used as fertilizer and to produce something new. Like many of my sweatpants through my thick boy days, it's a stretch. But either way, Zigu is a toilet spirit of a murdered concubine who is technically channeled through dolls, which is just a terrifying and bad concept. Our next toilet spirit comes to us from the world of Islam. The jinn, or as they are commonly known in English and the world of Aladdin, as genies, are spiritual beings who can be both good or evil and can respond to belief in Allah in the context of the Muslim faith. Now, in most cases in Islamic folklore, jinn leave humans alone, although they are also said to have had relations with humans from time to time, questionable and bad. Those jinn who are committing evil may inflict people or lead them away from Allah. In modern Arabic media and in our own, jinn are often used as a stand-in for what we in Western thought might think of as a demon, often playing the antagonist and the afflictor of a situation. In these cases, they can be seen as haunting people, similar to ghosts in many of our ghost stories. So jinn, that's cool, but like you're wondering, where do the bathrooms come into this? Well, it turns out jinn are often seen and found hiding in toilets and hiding out in bathrooms to strike people in some way. Now, you wouldn't think this would need to be such a problem, but it is so much a problem that it is claimed a person can and ought to say a prayer to Allah when entering the bathroom to guard against the jinn that might lurk there. Another portion of their writings says these prayers will cause a barrier to come between the jinn and you as you flap your stacks into the toilet below. I presume the jinn can't see you, turd, because if they could see you, turd, they'd probably just leave you be. You ever seen somebody mid-turd? Just leave them alone. Honestly, it's kind of stupid. All I can think of is in Aladdin, instead of rubbing his magic lamp, he rubs a strange portable toilet and the genie pops out. It drastically changes that story. Our last Spoopky bathroom guy this year is in many ways the most straightforward as far as bathroom demons go. In demon mythology related to the Christian tradition and Hebrew stories, Belphegor is a demon responsible for the deadly sin of sloth. Now, normally when we think of sloth, we think of sitting around, not accomplishing much, and generally being lazy. And that is the case. He's kind of like the demon of being a loser in your mom's basement. But Belphegor is said to, in many ways, play the long game. The way he goes about accomplishing sloth in humanity is by introducing and helping humanity make and discover new and helpful inventions. He is seen as this mastermind behind some of the world's greatest inventions, particularly those which make life and everyday tasks so much easier. I bet if they drew Belphegor, this dude today, he'd have like an iPhone in hand, is wearing glasses, probably just look like a hipster. His history as one who is worshipped by way of the observance of phallic symbols and the like. Pervert. Belphegor really makes his stake as a toilet deity or a toilet demon in that he is often drawn or depicted as sitting on a toilet or other sort of stool and relieving himself on top of it. He is, in many ways, literally the toilet demon. And so there is this notion in some Jewish writing that Belphegor is or has been worshipped while you are sitting on the toilet. And I think this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, as they suggest you can pay homage to Belphegor by offering up your byproducts as an offering to him. In other words, they're trying to be funny. By saying, oh yeah, Belphegor? Yeah, you can give him tribute. And then you just drop a stack for Belphegor. Drop a stack for Belphegor. Yeah. I think this sitting on the toilet is fitting for a demon related to sloth. Prior toilets, you would often, in these cultures, you had to carry the nasty things that the human body produces outside the camp, thus to keep things clean. Prior to toilets, that took work. The toilet, in many ways, makes us think less about the work involved in us going to the bathroom. That rascal Belphegor. The real deviancy of Belphegor is what he does with these poopy offerings that you might give him. In some account, he is said to take these offerings and burn them and use them for fuel. Fuel for what? I don't know. Burning people? Cooking? Don't cook your corn dogs over the human turd fuel, Belphegor. It ain't good. In other accounts, Belphegor is described as eating the poops. Weird and bad. You silly, silly dummy. Don't do that. You don't do that. I like the one where he isn't eating the poop a little more personally. That's just me. I like that one better. But Belphegor is a pretty crazy guy. And there's this notion in here about what the devil can eat coming out of these creatures. But that's just hope we didn't scare you too bad with this batch of toilet demons. Just try not to think of them when you're exposing your backside and sitting down to drop your next stack. This brings us to the end of another episode of Privy. Leave us a rating and review. The 5-star option is our preferred, and for every rating and review left on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts, we'll donate $1 to the Wounded Warriors and Living Water International. As a reminder to keep pooping in the free world, that free world was not always free, and some parts of it are not yet such, and they do not have access to clean water. Cleaner water for all. Help those who've helped us. Follow us on social media. We're at Privycast. You can follow me. I'm at Owlet7. If you're bold and brave, you can follow at Randy Bowles to check out Randy Bowles. Check us out online, privy-cast.com. Send us an email, privycast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. All those links are available at our website, privy-cast.com. This brings us to the end of another episode of Privy. Keep pooping in the free world. Own your stank. I guess a grunt went out for the Belphegor. I don't know. Don't do that. We don't do that here. And now, as always, don't forget to flush.